Now that's what I call a WrestleFania Christmas. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. WrestleFania is back again this Christmas with one special musical collection for you. That's right, on one compact disc, you can get all of your WrestleFania Christmas hits, including
Making a podcast is a lot of work. Recording's just a part of it, unless you're a jerk. Sending in your files, record it on your phone. The quality is less than shit, the worst I've ever known. Oh, WrestleBrand, I'm talking about you. Only Gary likes those podcasts that you half-ass your way through. Oh, WrestleBrand, please buy a microphone. Otherwise, I'd have to say I'm better off alone.
Wasn't that great? And isn't WrestleBrand the worst? I mean, really? How bad is he? Well, maybe this traditional Christmas song will jog your memory.
Silent Brandon is the perfect Brandon. Nobody wants to hear from Brandon. I've done the research, so I know that it's true. Brandon, there's nobody who likes you. I'm sorry if this makes you sore, but please don't podcast anymore.
I mean, it almost brings a tear to your eye just how bad WrestleBrand is. In fact, if you order now, you'll find out that he's not just bad in English, but also in other languages.
Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. No sé por qué está en el podcast. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. No sé por qué está en el podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast, because Brendan is the worst. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast, because Brendan is the worst. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor, no sé por qué está en el podcast. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor. Brendan es el peor, no sé por qué está en el podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast, because Brendan is the worst. I am not sure why he's on the podcast. No, I don't know why he's on the podcast. I am not sure why he's on the podcast, because Brendan is the worst.
Simply magical. And let me tell you, this CD collection doesn't just show that the hate for WrestleBrand crosses over language barriers, but it also crosses over cultural barriers, like with this hit right here.
Brandon, 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 you are a piece of shit. I didn't write a second verse, the first one covers it. Oh, Brandon, 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 if you listen this far, then you should know that I know what a piece of shit you are.
Still not convinced? Well, what if I told you if you ordered now that this CD also contains this little naughty number?
Oh, okay. This is a country version. Well, all right, well. Gotta kind of, did not know that when I started recording, but okay, here we go. I saw Brandon playing with himself. He accidentally Skyped me Christmas Eve. I couldn't turn it off, and I knew that it was wrong. Especially since he's my cousin and it kinda turned me on. Oh, no. Oh, I saw Brandon playing with himself. I pray to God that his wife was asleep. How disgraceful it would be if he turned and noticed me watching him play with himself that night.
Try to get that vision out of your head. You can't, can you? And neither can you get these songs out of your mind, because there's just one hit after another. You know, it's not just classic Christmas songs either. We have this more contemporary hit.
Last Christmas was the best I recall, 'cause I did not have to see Brandon at all. This year, if he's not here, I know that it will be special, special.
Do you think there's a chance that Russell Brand could be listening to this right now? Hey, Brandon, stop crying, you little baby. That's right, I would be crying if everyone hated me as much as they hate him. But here's something you shouldn't hate, this CD offer. I just talked to my managers, and they told me that if you order now, I'm going to play for you one more special song. Not a snippet, not a bit, but the entire song, one of the biggest Christmas hits of these last 20 years, remastered just for you. Here it is. Merry Christmas, enjoy, and WrestleBrand, this one's for you.
I want a lot of gifts this Christmas, but I gladly would take none. If our podcast WrestleFania had more listeners than one, I think I have figured out how to actually have listeners now. Make this wish come true. Brandon, all I want for Christmas is you. To leave the show, I want a ton of gifts this Christmas, but I'd happily take none. If our podcast WrestleFania had more listeners than one. Gary, you have been quite faithful, which I do appreciate. But then you voted for Brandon, which filled up my heart with hate. I think I have figured out how to have more listeners now. Make this wish come true. Brandon, all I want for Christmas is you. To leave the show, when started up this podcast, I thought I'd do it alone. Didn't think I'd have a co-host who recorded on his phone. But my aunt and uncle called me, and I got a text from Brandon's wife asking me to make him my co-host because he doesn't have a life. I did it because they're great, but I regret it too late. Hopefully this hint gets through. Brandon, all I want for Christmas is you to leave the show. Oh, have I been too harsh? When he listens, how will he be? Is the spirit of Christmas growing within me? Is this a change of heart? It's too late to restart. So maybe, Brandon, when you listen, you should just listen, starting from this part. Oh, I don't need a lot for Christmas. In fact, there's one thing I want most, is for Brandon to forgive me and still remain my co-host. I realize all along that to keep the podcast strong, Gary, yes, it's true. Brandon, all I want for Christmas is you. Brandon, oh you. Follow Brandon on Twitter at WrestleBrand. He's wonderful. Follow me. I'm Mike at WrestleWatcher. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and all that fun stuff.
Fans not experts.